Chapter 7, Social Processes Theory. In this chapter, we explore social process theory, which focuses on how social interactions and relationships influence criminal behavior over time. By the end of this chapter, you should understand how family, schools, peers, and labeling influence crime and how these theories apply to prevention. Social process theory explains crime as something people learn through interaction with others. Through socialization, individuals pick up values and norms from family, peers, and communities. Social learning theory emphasizes that criminal behavior is learned from close relationships, especially peers who model and reinforce crime. Social control theory suggests that everyone has the potential for crime, but strong bonds to family, school, and society keep most people in line. Crime happens when those social bonds weaken or break. Social reaction or labeling theory focuses on how being labeled as criminal by others can lead individuals to accept that identity and continue criminal behavior. Key social institutions play an important role in shaping behavior and controlling crime. The family is especially influential, as effective parenting and supervision, known as parental efficacy, help reduce delinquency. In contrast, violence, harsh discipline, and physical or emotional abuse can increase the risk of criminal behavior later in life. Schools play an important role in socialization, but issues such as racial inequality, bullying, and dropping out can increase the risk of delinquency. Peer relationships also strongly influence behavior, especially when peers encourage or model crime. Religion and belief systems can act as social controls, as participation and regular attendance often promote conformity and pro-social behavior. This figure shows how social institutions like family, school, peers, and religion work together to shape behavior. When these social processes are strong, they help control crime. When they are weak or negative, the risk of delinquency increases. Principles of differential association theory. It basically says criminal behavior is learned. Criminal behavior is learned as a byproduct of interacting with others. Learning criminal behavior occurs within intimate personal groups. Learning criminal behavior involves assimilating the techniques of committing crime, including motives, drives, rationalizations, and attitudes. Differential association also explains how people learn whether laws should be followed or ignored. Individuals are more likely to offend when they see more rewards than consequences for breaking the law. These influences differ based on how often, how long, and how intensely a person is exposed to criminal behavior. Differential association explains that learning criminal behavior happens the same way as any other learning, through observation, reinforcement, and interaction. Crime is not justified by basic needs or values because those same needs can be met through lawful behavior. Researchers test this theory by examining how peer influence and exposure to crime relate to offending. Neutralization techniques explain how offenders justify their actions by minimizing harm or shifting blame. These include denying responsibility, denying injury, or the victim, blaming authorities, or claiming loyalty to a higher cause. Researchers test neutralization theory by examining how these excuses influence continued offending. Overall, learning theories are evaluated based on how well peer influence and learned attitudes explain criminal behavior. This figure summarizes the techniques of neutralization, which explain how individuals justify criminal behavior by denying responsibility, harm, or the victim, and shifting blame or loyalty. Offenders reduce guilt and make it easier to continue offending. Social control theory focuses on why most people do not commit crime. Self-control refers to a person's ability to resist temptation. Commitment to conformity means individuals invest in conventional goals like education or careers. Social bonds connect people to society and discourage criminal behavior. Attachment refers to caring about others and valuing their opinions, which helps discourage crime. Commitment involves the time and effort invested in conventional activities like school or work. Belief reflects acceptance of societal rules, morals, and laws, while involvement in conventional activities leaves less time and opportunity for delinquent behavior. Research generally supports social control theory by showing that strong social bonds reduce delinquency. Attachment to others, belief in laws and morals, commitment to conventional goals, and involvement in positive activities are all linked to lower levels of criminal behavior. Critics of social control theory argue that it does not fully explain the role of friendships and peer influence in crime. Others point out that failure to achieve goals, lack of supervision during activities, and exposure to antisocial parents or peers can weaken social bonds. Some researchers also question whether weakened bonds cause crime or if criminal behavior weakens bonds afterward. This figure illustrates the four elements of the social bond: attachment, commitment, involvement, and belief. When these bonds are strong, individuals are more likely to conform to social rules. When they weaken, the likelihood of criminal behavior increases. Labeling theory argues that crime is not inherent in behavior, but is defined by how society reacts to it. Those in power decide which behaviors are considered criminal. The theory emphasizes that people, not just actions, are labeled, and these labels, positive or negative, are based on subjective interpretation. Labeling can lead individuals to accept a criminal identity through self-labeling. Once labeled, people may associate with deviant groups who reinforce that identity. Retrospective reading occurs when past behavior is reinterpreted as a criminal because of the label. This figure illustrates how primary deviance can escalate into secondary deviance through labeling. Once an individual is officially labeled, societal reactions can limit opportunities and reinforce deviant identity. Over time, accepting the label can lead to continued and more serious criminal behavior. Differential enforcement explains how certain groups are more likely to be targeted and labeled as criminal by authorities. Research on labeling theory examines who is most often labeled and how those labels affect future behavior. While some evidence supports the idea that labeling increases continued offending, critics question whether labeling causes crime or simply follows it. Social learning theory influences public policy by supporting programs that remove youth from criminal peer groups and place them in structured environments, such as the Highfields Project in New Jersey and the Silver Lake program in Los Angeles. Social control theory emphasizes strengthening education and family bonds, since strong schools and supportive families help reinforce conformity and reduce delinquency. This chapter basically explained how criminal behavior is influenced by social interactions and relationships. Social learning theory shows that crime is learned through close associations and reinforced through attitudes and behaviors. Social control theory focuses on how strong bonds to family, school, and society prevent crime. Social reaction or labeling theory emphasizes how being labeled as a criminal can shape identity and increase future offending. Together, these theories highlight the importance of social environments in understanding and preventing crime.